Does everything have a bright side to it? Of course. It doesn't always outweigh the negatives, but everything has a bright side to it. This makes happiness a choice. And here we say that the discipline of being happy is the ultimate discipline. With that said, welcome to the Ultimate Discipline Podcast, where we meet with people who are practitioners of this exact discipline, and we hear their cool stories of cultivating happiness through challenges in their life. I am your host, Sean Greenspan. Let's get to it. And we're live. Man, Matt, it's good to be down here chilling with you for a week, man. It always feels like a good reset for me. Just coming in, and I feel like just like living our best lives. Like everyone kept saying, like, "What are you gonna do in Austin for a week?" I'm like, just live. Just wake up, get the miles in.
It's just what we do.
Get the fat blueberry pancakes.
I love it, man. No, it's awesome having you and Emma here. And I always tell people, I'm like, having guests or traveling with people, like there's a certain element about having a certain type of individual that you want to welcome into your four doors. And it's like a sacred thing, like especially for me, my brother, like, I don't know, I feel like it's allowing certain people to enter our given space. And you're definitely, you and Emma are people that I just welcome with open doors because I know that we have a similar framework, and it's very well, like, you guys are just like, you guys kind of, we all fit into the day-to-day lifestyle. Like even our routine that is very out there for some people. Yeah. It just seems to flow very well whenever you guys visit me or I visit you in some random city that you guys are always in. And it always works out well, man.
Yeah, man, we like just drift out of our rooms in the morning, and like in different parts of the house, I hear you're breathing, I'm doing my breath work.
There's a lot of red light, there's a lot of breath work going on, and it's a beautiful thing, man. It's awesome to have friends that can that understand where you are and like what you value. And I think you and I really value connection and humans and people that are like-minded. And I think that's why it just flows very well. Yeah, man, dude. I appreciate you having me down here, and I appreciate those words, and like, yeah, same thing, dude. Like, we're what we were talking about earlier, how we're trying to be very protective of our time because that's our number one resource, right? And how there's some people that when they're like, "Hey, can we chat?" You're like, "Send me an email." And then there's other times I'm like, "Oh, you want to go chill for a full week? Fuck yeah, let's do it," right? 100%. And it's I don't know. Part of it is energy to me. Like I just kind of go off the gut, right? Like when I spend time with you, I feel like my energy increases. Versus if I spend time with someone, I feel like my energy decreases. That's my barometer for who I'm going to spend my time with. And I don't think we tune into that enough. And there are some exceptions, right? Like sometimes, to me, that's what charity is. Charity is when if something's depleting, you're still like willing to do it. I'm not saying charity can't be something that fills you up, but like if you're willing to do it, sometimes you just got to pour love into this world, and even if you get nothing back. 100%. Give with no expectations in return.
Love it. Get that tattooed.
No tats, not yet.
If when you do your marathons in Korea,
maybe that might be the first one.
That might be the first one. We'll save that. We don't need to spill the beans on that.
Yeah.
We did a little fartlek workout today, which thank God we did it at 7 a.m. before the sun came up. Dude, Austin's too fucking hot for me, and it's May.
I don't think people understand, man. Like, running in this heat, I love Austin, but there's something about the heat that is humbling here, and you got to get the runs in the morning, bro. Like,
you got to get the runs in the morning.
When the UV's at 10, it's just not a fun time to be outside. And to your point, like a workout in the morning, it just is like ingrained in me. Like that's just my routine. Yeah. And it feels the best in the morning, and you hit the plunge and you're like, oh, it's 9 a.m. and the fucking day's ripped, and you've achieved so much. And I can't, I look forward to that cup of coffee 90 minutes after I wake up.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
I was bringing up because I look at running as the main way that you and I hang out. And that's probably a little bit of an overstatement because we've been friends for 15 years. We've hung out we've partied, we've, traveled, worked together, whatever. But like it's a really good formula hanging out, and that's where we have probably some of our best conversations.
100%.
And you brought up something at dinner last night and then at the end of the run today about kind of like our similar upbringing of having, you know, parents that were separated, and that kind of putting a lot on us as like individuals at like a young age. And, you know, maybe that's one of the foundational things that allows you and I, or that kind of like groomed you and I to be similar. We didn't really get to finish that conversation. I just wanted to kind of pick that up, you know, see where we're at there.
100%. And I guess to give people context, you know, me and Sean both have older brothers. We grew up with, you know, divorced parents, and that maneuvering through that as a kid, it's like, it's different for every single human, right? And I think a lot of the chip on your shoulder, the chip on my shoulder, like that hard work mentality, the not wanting just your everyday normal life kind of framework is a lot of our foundation. And I think it is what we kind of relate on, in that sense of like, hey, you know, being an entrepreneur is not like, it's sexy from the external, but the internal grind and the work that is required to do something like this is not easy. And I have other friends that like I might be closer with, but you and I are close in this area that it's different. Not everyone can relate. And I think a lot of our childhood, and the more and more I reflect on it, when I'm on pods and people ask me like, yeah, man, like, where did this come from? How did you become this person? And I reflect so much on how I got raised by my mom, and having my brother as a role model, and having like coaches and mentors in my life that have shaped me into who I am today. Like, I didn't just become this person. And I don't think anyone just becomes who they are. Like, it's an intentional work that is done. Now there's levels of nature and nurture, right? Like how you grow up, the parents that you have, you know, the environments that you're put in, these things all they play a formula in who you become. And I love reflecting and looking back on childhood, because I truly do believe that those moments do determine who you can become. And then there's a time as a human and as a man, as people, that you have to also take action. And I think you and I both have made the intentional decision to be growth-minded people, to be curious, to not always look at the world half empty, but you're looking at it half full. And for me, at this point, Sean, it's like I only want to be surrounded around people like that. And there's so many people in this world that are successful, that make a shit ton of money, that do dope things, but some of them are just very close-minded. They see the world in only their way.
Yeah.
For me, like, I don't think my shit is right. I question on some Naval shit. Like, I question everything about what I do. I sometimes think that maybe I don't live in the best way. Yeah. And every human should question themselves. And you shouldn't look up to someone and be like, oh, I need to match my lifestyle like them. Like, no. Like, you should figure out what works best for yourself. And I think that's kind of where I find my own joy, is like, I don't really look at what anyone else is doing. I'm just looking at my own self. Like, how do I maximize Matt? And that's all I'm worried about. It's in this game of social media, and I'm in it. Like, it's so easy to compare what other people are doing, how big other people's businesses are, how much money they're making, how much X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy and you're not fulfilled, going to sleep every single night and waking up fulfilled with a purpose, it's irrelevant how many followers you have or how much money's in the bank account, you know?
Yeah.
So.
For sure, man. I think you're talking about like reflecting, right? That's really what I'm hearing, is you're talking about like reflecting on what you're doing, questioning yourself, like checking in with yourself. Is this filling me up? Is this not? Is this draining me? How do I feel inside? I've personally found that formalizing the process of reflection is, I almost said the only way, is the way that works for me, right? And what I mean by that is writing, recording videos, podcasts, solo podcasts, like getting it out in a more formal way. When you're writing or talking, you're forced to complete a cohesive thought, versus when you're thinking, you know, I mean, it could go any which way and you don't need to like finish it. Because for me, there's this fine line in life between growth, self-development, trying to be better, reflect, all that, and then just like experiencing life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, at some points, like cooking blueberry pancakes, I brought them up twice so far. Cooking breakfast this morning, dude, like, it was just flow. We were just chilling, right? There's no reflection, anything there. But I found that like formalizing the reflection process, which for me is journaling on two things. what I was grateful for that day and what I could improve on the next day at the end of every night. That is what helps, me like basically formalize that process. You started journaling. You told me on your run today that you look at like a lot of the content you make as a form of journaling, right? Expressing yourself and like kind of working through that. Do you kind of align with that thought of like that the reflection process kind of does need to be a little formal and have like a little structure to it?
100%. It's different for every person on how they actually want to like get their thoughts in their mind and put it on paper or put it on video, right? Like someone could record a ton of audio content about how their day was, how grateful they are, what they're thinking about, and they might never write it down. But that audio clip, when they look at it in 15 years, just like how Matthew McConaughey's Greenlight book, like he had actual notepad of journals, someone could reflect on an audio that they had and they're like, oh shoot, in 2023 on April whatever, on May 23rd, I thought about this thing, right? I was grateful for this. I was grateful for 8 hours of sleep. I was grateful for my bed. I was grateful for my mind, whatever it is. Like every single day in the age of technology we live in now, there's so many ways to reflect on your thoughts. And when you ask me like, yeah, like what do you do with the extra clips? Like, do you delete it? I'm like, no, like for me, they're all receipts. And no one can question what I've done, right? Because it's all proven. Like if you scroll down far enough in my content, you'll see I post it almost every single day. And in a way, that is journaling for me.
Yeah.
It's me documenting my processes, documenting my journey. I'm not writing it physically down. And part of that is that writing for me is not comfortable. I'm not good at it. I cheated on everything in school. I never really like applied myself. So for me to actually grab a pen and write something, I needed the 5-minute journal to help me with that. It asks the same questions every single day. Sometimes my responses are the same. I'm grateful for my bed. I'm grateful for red light. I'm grateful for X amount of sleep, because being at Hell in the Hill, sleeping in a glamping tent, I realized I'm like, how good I got it,
Yeah, wait till I get you out in Oregon this
100%,
summer.
right? And being with you and Emma, like I always expand myself. I'm always getting uncomfortable doing things I'm not so used to doing. And I think as humans, it's important to find something that you can do. And I think something Jesse talked about, Jesse Itzer, he said, one thing I regret is not journaling more. He's 54 years old. So for me, being half of his age, I'm thinking to myself like, oh shit, that's something that like has nothing to do with building a business, making more money, running more ultras, completing more challenges. It has nothing to do with that.
No one sees it.
No one. It's literally for yourself. It's future receipts, period. And I thought to myself, I'm like, if that's his reflection at that age, I should actually start to apply it at my point of life, right? And I think for anyone listening to this, like find something, whether it's video content, audio content, the written word, find a way to reflect on your thoughts and to appreciate what you have. And I think that point of gratitude is truly the highest drug that anyone can have, is just appreciate the smallest things in the world that you have right now, because it's so easy to get lost in the sauce of what other people have or what people that you look up to are doing, or X, Y, and Z, the trip that you want to go on that you might not be able to afford, or whatever it is. But if you realize that you have clean drinking water and a place to sleep and like the most minuscule shit, start to appreciate those things and find a way to reflect on it, journal, written 100%. Word, whatever, and just start to see what that does for yourself.
Yeah. There's a Stoic meditation that Marcus Aurelius kind of made popular, and Tim Ferriss practices regularly. And it's basically for 2 days every month, you live as if your worst fear came true. So for most of us, a lot of us, like we're in the rat race, we're in the US, it's going broke, right? Like broke. This was years ago, but I heard Tim Ferriss talking about it, and he says for 48 hours, sleeps on the ground, outside, eats 1 meal a day of rice and beans, has 1 cup of water, no technology, no books, nothing, right? Just that if he was like broke, like that's probably like how he would live. And the whole time for 48 hours, your task is to meditate on, is this what I'm so scared of? He mentioned on the podcast I was listening to with Ryan Holiday, who, wrote the Daily Stoic. You know Ryan well.
I know him well.
He was like, I've had some of like the most insightful and best days of my life doing that. And that's what he's most scared of. And to me, that's really interesting, because as I'm getting older, like the advice I keep coming back to telling myself is to take more risks. I feel like, I've worked hard and I'm dedicated to working hard to building a skill set and a growth mindset that's going to allow me to get myself out of trouble and have the capacity to enjoy those, my fear, right? If that was to come to fruition. You've taken some big risk, right? I remember wasn't that long ago I was down in Georgia and you drove from Maryland down, stopped by, and you're like, I'm moving to Austin. I'm just sending it on being a creator. What is it? What was that like making that decision, right? There was you had your PT business that you were letting go of most of your clients because most didn't want to go, virtual. You didn't know anyone in Austin. One dude.
One person.
Yeah. Did that? What let you make that decision? That's a better way of asking.
I think the first thing was setting myself up in a position where I would have X amount of expenses covered for a certain amount of months, where I can leverage my own time and say, hey, if I made no money in the next 6 months, I could at least pay for rent and find somewhere to live. Like setting myself up financially, of having some level of financial literacy to have X amount of operating expenses covered, allowed me the opportunity to even make that as like a opportunity, right? So that was the first thing. Obviously, to your point, I had a 6-figure training business that I pretty much walked away from. And part of it is the clients that I kept that were virtual, I knew that I could cover like my expenses with just that income of 5 to 6 people that I was training virtually. Yeah. So that allowed me the freedom to then be like, all right, now let's go all in on content. Let's go move to a new city. Let's really take this risk of not knowing many people and figuring it out.
Yeah.
And part of my like push to come out here, it was so many things. It's like, my mom had recently gotten remarried and she was kind of like gave us the boot, like take over the mortgage or kind of,
because you were staying in the crib in Clarksburg.
Exactly. Yeah. I was home back in Maryland, which how many people want to be home at 25, 26? Not many people. So that was just a bet on myself. And throughout this whole journey, Sean, like, at some point we read enough books, listen to enough podcasts, and you do the work of educating yourself. But if that's where it stops, then you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
You need to put it into practice.
It's easy to get caught up in that because it feels productive.
Of course.
It's like answering emails.
100%.
Dude, a little bit of a tangent, but I'm starting to like just limit 30 minutes in the beginning of the day, 30 minutes at the end of the day. That's how long I spend on emails. And if I don't get to it, I'm willing to
wait till the next day.
I know, but like whatever that does to affect the business, like I'm just willing to deal with that because like that's not creative thinking. That's like, that's like punching the clock. That's like, doing what you have to do, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And I felt that same way where it's like, I've done all these things physically to step out of my comfort zone, to do hard things, to callous my mind, to callous my body. Now can I do it in a way where I'm betting on myself again? The back's against the wall. You don't know no one. You have no connections. You're going out here on a whim to figure it out. Like that's how I felt when I moved to Austin. But I felt like if I didn't do it, that the regret that I would have to just stay in Moco. You told me, bro, you're like, dude, if in a year you can come back to Moco. I remember you were on a call. You said you can always come back to Moco. If that's my plan B, I'm fucking good with that.
Yeah.
And the year I had last year there was things that I never planned, Sean. Some of the brands I got to work with, the growth I had, I never wrote on paper to grow 100,000 followers or to work with Nike or to work with Adidas or work with any of the brands I worked with. All of it was this framework of when opportunity meets preparation. And I had put the work in 3 years prior. No one saw the shit I was doing. When I came here, people were like, how are you so consistent with posting? How do you keep posting when no one's watching? Well, I did this shit when no one fucking gave a fuck. And no one sees that. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh my God, dude, you blew up so fast. How'd you do this? Like you have all these people watching your stuff. Well, if you saw what I was doing at my mom's house, when I did the 4x4x48, when I ran my first marathon, when I did a 50 miler, when I did a 100 miler, no one cared. But for me, it wasn't about getting the outside validation.
Yeah.
I was already validating myself. I don't need anyone to tell me that I'm doing a good job or that I'm not doing a good job. Like I don't really care about the opinion of other people. And for me, I just knew that the next step is putting it into practice in a way that is different than just physical. You and I now have calloused ourselves so much physically that we could go run 100 miles right now. We could go do it. We could run a marathon right now. But for most people, that physical challenge is so impossible. I wanted to test it in a realm of go to a new city, implant yourself there and see if you can figure it out. Because that fear is what stops most people from leaving their hometown. You and I know people in Maryland that grew up in their diapers next to their best friends. They went to high school and college with their best friend, and they stayed there forever. And they have no plan, no intention to ever leave Montgomery County. There's no disrespect to those people or anyone that wants to live in Moco. It's a great place to live. But there's so much to offer in this world, and you have to be curious enough to go seek it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to come back to that, the physical callus, right? Or the callus that comes from physical training, because time is something I think about. First of all, we are running a marathon on Friday. Fucker.
Sean is sick.
I got 3 days left. We're running a marathon on Friday. You could stamp on that, but I want to come back to this, right? So I'll never forget. I came home from college, and I was living at home working for Milwaukee Tool, and my dad saw when I stayed there, I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and I'd go run to the gym, lift, run back, come back, make my breakfast, leave. After work, go train again. And he goes, for someone that cares so much about how you spend your time, you spend a lot of time training. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you're in shape. If you just did like once a day, like what's the point? And I told him, I was like, I think it's the best use of my time right now, because, well, you get the physical benefits of being healthy, but then it calluses you for like what's next, to be able to put out in the morning and in the afternoon and then work a full day. And it's not all about physical, but like I was working on my feet all day, 8 hours in front of people. And then it was just building that discipline that you can apply elsewhere. And that's why I'm such a proponent of physical training, and frequently and consistently. That's why I tell everyone I am twice a day, 7 days a week, 365. That doesn't mean I'm going to beat up my body. This is not like a fitness podcast. Like some of it, it's well calculated to make sure that you're not just destroying your body. But I think it's just like the best bang for your buck if you don't feel like you have that ability to just bet on yourself, right? So when I'm looking at your story, and we talked about similar stories, right? It's a fitness background that we took to the extreme, you could say.
Definitely.
And then it's having the confidence in yourself that like let's just be real. When I talk to you about this, when I talk to Flax about this, I started my company and was an entrepreneur a little before you guys, and you guys both were people that came to me, and I was like, look, if you spend all day, every day trying to make a living, I'm sure you can make a living working for yourself, and it just comes down to will you, not can you, Jesse, right?
Shout out Jesse
Itzler, but will you do it? And I think I have proof. I went to work out. I worked out every day for 10 years. So now that I'm starting a company, it's not that it's hard. It's just you have to show up every day and never stop ever. There's no exit strategy. We're not selling companies. We're building what we want to operate the rest of our lives. And if I had to, I don't know, share, if someone's thinking about how to take a step towards entrepreneurship or take a risk, because I think risk taking is so critical in success, that to me is a thing. Find something, which I think physical training just is a great bang for your buck, and prove it to yourself there before you're risking your livelihood financially or something like that.
It's funny because something I thought about, Jessica Alba was at VCon, and they asked, someone had asked her recently, what are you working on? And she said, I'm working on myself. So many people, that should be your first response. It's not your business. Yes, that's happening in the background as well, but as humans, we should all be working on ourselves.
Yeah.
Every single day. I don't think that because I've had some success that I've made it or that I fucking know it all. Every single day, the reason I show up and the reason that you show up in that way is because you're working on yourself. You're trying to test and to prove to yourself, are you the person that you say you are? It's that Hormozy thing. You build confidence by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are.
Yeah.
right? And like that's what the game is. And the reason I show up every day, the reason I do those things is because I want to prove to myself that I'm not full of shit.
Yeah, man.
That who you see on Instagram is who you see in real life. When people tell me that, Matt, you're actually like that energy you bring, the energy you bring to the room, the aura that you have is actually what I feel like in person. Yeah. For me, that's everything. And it's not that I'm trying to put on a facade for social media. It's just that I'm not faking shit. Like, this is exactly who I am. It's who I show up as, whether I've known you for 15 years or I know you for 5 minutes or 5 seconds. Yeah. And I think for most people, you need to work on yourself to then allow other people to get impacted. And when she said that, I'm like, damn, this girl's gotten everything, bro. She was an actress at 13. She's one of the most beautiful people on the earth, now has built multiple businesses. And it's like, for her to have that framework at her age, I'm working on myself. Every human should be doing that. That form of self-love is something that's undeniable. And more people need to do that.
Dude, it's spot on. And just to gas you up for a minute, like, I didn't even comment on this, but we're finishing our run today. And, you know, I was like, what run are we doing tomorrow? Right? You know, like, we ran today. That didn't mean we're done tomorrow. And you know, you're like, you're just going to get whatever, 6 easy miles tomorrow. And you're like, man, it's been awesome. You said it's a miracle. I've been able to do this and not get hurt. And, you know, you kept going, so I didn't want to like interrupt you, but I did want to tell you, like, it's not a miracle. It's just what happens when you study, train right. Like, you learn and do what you say you're going to do, right? Like, the way that you like train and recover, take care of your body, take care of your mind, eat well, sleep well, right? Like, going 5 days, 6 days now off THD, like, because you want to get better sleep, like, get your red light instead of normal light. Like, you're learning and implementing. It's not a miracle. It's what should happen. You should not get injured because you're doing the things that, you know, you need to do. And that's something, you know, it's something that's pretty admirable. Going back to the third thing from this morning's run, it was just a great run, I guess. The fartlek got the brains going early. You're talking about self-love, right? And working on yourself. And one of my journaling prompts that my life coach gave me is, if I had $100 million, right? And like, if you think about it, today, we woke up after 8 hours sleep. Like, we scheduled our day to ensure we got 8 hours sleep. I went in that like extra bedroom, did my mindfulness, I did my visualization, did my breath work, went downstairs, and we took a run. And I think you had a pretty similar morning. If I had $100 million, I would have done the exact same thing. Like, maybe not this day, but like, there's a day where I'd be at your crib, getting my 8 hours sleep, getting my morning routine, and getting my run on, right? And, you know, I think that's like such a beautiful thing to think about, because gratitude is the most powerful drug. That you said that earlier. I could not agree more. And I think the more that we can feel gratitude, not think gratitude, feel it, like in your body, like you know what it's like to just feel good, like it's like energy rushing down your arms, like the smile that doesn't come off your face, like, you know, really tap into that. Like, today was a dream day. We got that workout in the morning. Like I had some good meetings. I know you had some good meetings. We're in a house with your brother, Emma, like chilling. We had fat lunch. Blueberry pancakes. Third time we're bringing this shit up.
Kodiak cakes, baby. You already know the deal.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Matt made 12 blueberry pancakes and looks at me and goes, I think we need some chocolate chip pancakes too, brother.
I love that.
But, dude, we need to tap into that gratitude more. Like, us, even more. Us as, like, you and me, and us as just, like, the world. Like, we're caught up in focusing on what we don't have, and I think that's like something that humans have done historically, is focus on what they don't have. I think up until 120 years ago, humans were living in or now we're living in abundance, right? They're like, we were living in scarcity before, scarcity of food, resources, everything. Like, now it's like knowledge, books. You don't need to like go get the one encyclopedia at the library. Just Google anything you want, like food, like there's ample food, you know, information, anything. And, you know, just tapping into that gratitude is like that is something else that like I have found that dedicating time for that and just feeling that and like really thinking about it, like, right now, you know, like I'm trying to grow my podcast. I get to do it in a fucking professional studio. Shout out Pouch 6 in Austin.
Pouch 6
Ryan and Jay hooked it up today.
This place is sick.
This place is sick. They're like, oh, your podcast has a purple theme? Yeah, we'll just get purple in here. But dude, this is like the dream. And like, I think a lot of people might like sleepwalk and like not realize that it's the dream. And like, whatever you're doing, you know, be grateful for it, the dream, and that it, like relate it to your dream, but also like make it happen, like manufacture the dream, you know?
No, I couldn't agree more. I think at times, Sean, it's tough for some people because maybe their circumstances are tougher to be gratitude, to have gratitude. You know, it's when we're at Hell on the Hill, Jesse gave an opportunity for people to come and talk about why they are running this why they're running this half marathon on the hilliest half marathon in the country. And I realized that how good me and my brother might have it. And some family members are running for handicapped children. Some people are running for their lost mother. Some people are running for their father that just passed from COVID, X, Y, and Z. You have a laundry list of people that are running for different reasons. And I actually totally have empathy and understand why someone in that situation, it might be tough for them to practice gratitude. When the world is taking away your loved ones, when the world is giving you the short end of the stick, it's actually hard as fuck to have gratitude. It's hard to look at every day as the best day possible when your kid is in a wheelchair, when your husband or wife is severely sick. And it makes me reflect on, if you are someone that doesn't have one of those scenarios and you're complaining, it's really for those people that this message is for. And it's for everyone, but I have more empathy and I understand, I have sympathy for people that have those situations, and it's harder for them to practice gratitude. Yeah. When every single day you wake up and you have to be a caregiver for your husband, wife, kid, it's sometimes fucking hard, and you're struggling to pay your bills, X, Y, and Z. It's hard to practice gratitude. But that message, I think, is for more people that have a solid life, but yet they're complaining because they want more money, or they want a bigger house, they want a bigger car, they're mad that the milk is almond milk versus soy, whatever it is. I think in those cases, practicing gratitude is so fucking important. But I understand why some people, they struggle with it. Yeah. And in those moments when these people are sharing their stories, I'm like, fuck, how lucky am I that my mom and dad are still alive? My grandma passing from dementia and my grandfather passing from lung cancer are two of the main deaths that I had to feel as a human. But how many people are dealing with so much worse shit? And it made me realize, I'm like, damn, I get the opportunity, yes, as an entrepreneur, to live a certain life. I don't have kids, I don't have a wife, so I don't know what it feels like for some of these people. Like, I just don't. And in that moment, I'm like, I understand why it's hard for some people. So that's why I think that if you are someone that has a positive attitude, that you are an optimistic, that you do practice gratitude, it's important to make that shit louder so that other people can get impacted, so that the people that are struggling can understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. Because everyone's situation is different. And quickly you realize that, like, how good you do have it. Because when you talk to neighbors, when you talk to people and you see what they're dealing with, it's on a different game. And I understand why some people can't practice that shit. So if you are someone that has a good life, you have a solid job, and you have things to fucking survive, and no one in your immediate family has passed or is dealing with any major illness or sickness, like, those are the moments where you do and you should practice gratitude. But I totally understand why some people can't.
Yeah. Great reframe. There's levels to this shit, right?
1000%.
There's levels to this shit. And people just, it's very difficult for people. You're straight. I think the message that was delivered before is for the people that maybe have it better and are distracting themselves with what they don't have, right? Comparing themselves to others. And one of the reasons that I have this podcast is to be a voice to normalize a conversation that not everyone is talking about, to normalize a conversation of, like, you know, someone that maybe seems to have it pretty good, like both of us, are putting in the reps every single day. Like, dude, almost every night I lay down and start to have anxious and like I don't know, like just anxious thoughts about the future, right? About like, fuck, am I doing it right? Did I waste time today? Like just spiraling in my head, right? And what I've realized like helps is literally, like I did this last night. I set my phone to red light mode so I could text and not wake up Emma, or type, and I wrote things I was grateful for. That is something that, you know, anyone can do. And for people that are really, really struggling, you know, try something like that. Like just try to find the light, you know, and focus on it. The law of attraction, right? What you focus on expands. And some people are dealt a difficult fucking hand, 100%. You know. But if you can find the light in that, man, once you break through, there's gonna be a point where you're like, this shit is easy. You know what I mean? Like once you start like getting certain things. And you know, another reason that I do this pod, but is to share, you know, that we're still grinding, right? It's not like, oh, I'm in shape, I don't need to work out or eat healthy the rest of my life, right? And that's something that I appreciate about like you with the content. Like you were saying, like you want to have these receipts. Like no one can ever tell you didn't put the work in, you know? And that's a great thing about like social media. I think some people demonize social media to be like just a bad thing. It's like, I mean, it's an addicting thing that is often used bad, but it can be used great, man. Spread love, spread good energy.
100%. I mean, the world needs more of it. And there's so many things in this world that are good or bad, right? It's just all about how you see it. And the unfortunate thing is that most people don't use social media to what it's capable of doing. Mm-hmm. And that's why most people think it sucks. Yeah. Like if you only are consuming content, if you're only feeding yourself negativity or feeding yourself cynicism or whatever narrative, then of course that's how you're going to see the world. Yeah. But I think when you play the opposite end of the spectrum and you're actually becoming a producer and you're putting your own creative art into the world, that form of creation is something that no one could take from you. And more people need to tap into their creativity, because we live in a society now where you're almost put in a box from your own mindset, but from society's point of view, you're just an accountant, you're a lawyer, you're a stay-at-home mom. Fuck that. No, you're not. Like you literally are, you do so much shit. You're a stay-at-home mom, you're also a fucking provider, you're also a journalist, you're also an encourager, you're also a fitness person, X, Y, and Z. Like we're so many things. When people tell me, oh, you're that TikTok runner, in my head, I'm like, no, but that's how people connect.
That little kid today is like,
YouTuber.
Are you a YouTuber? You said, yeah. I was like, you're a YouTuber.
I feel like I'm so many things. I feel like I'm when people literally tell me, you're just the runner guy, right?
Embody it all, man.
100%.
And
like,
have fun with it.
1000%. And don't get butthurt when someone says that shit. It's like, it's just how they see you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't allow those opinions and the feedback of other people to dictate how you see yourself, it doesn't matter what people think.
Yeah.
And for humans, you should see yourself as multifaceted. You should see yourself as many things, not just this one thing. And once again, I'm bringing on VCon because I really reflected on a lot of the speakers. And Sam Acho is a former football player. He played at UT. And, you know, people always tell me, you're just that football guy. You know, you're retired now. Oh, now you're doing pods and you're on ESPN. But he was like, no, I'm an encourager. I'm a writer. I'm a creator. I'm all of these things, because even as him as a football player, he saw himself as so much more. But in society, we allow society to put ourselves in boxes. Yeah. And as humans, you have full control to not allow that to enter your framework. You can be whatever you want to be in this world. You could be as multifaceted or as unifaceted as you want. But don't allow other people's opinion of you to dictate who you are.
Yeah. Dude, it's interesting. External validation. Something that I struggled with a lot, right? I realized at a young age, man, when I started getting really into like backpacking and taking some like longer trips. I know it sounds funny, but like I can live with not a lot, right? I mean, like we joked around today.
I love that.
Matt was blessing me with some shoes and some new gear, and he was like, Sean, if I didn't give you clothes, you would never get new clothes. And I was like, dead ass, like, yeah, man, like. And that was just kind of a tangent there, but
we have too much things as humans.
We do.
It's actually better to be simple. I have so much, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
I literally would be happy with a pull-up bar, a small place to live, and a pair of running shoes, and I'd be good, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fortunate to have a lot of stuff, but those things don't make me more happy. I have so many shoes, but it doesn't make me more happy to see that when I walk into my house. It's just, it happens to be a part of my business and a part of what I do, but you take all that away from me, you strip all that stuff, and I start back to zero, and I guarantee I will still do the same shit I did this morning.
Yeah.
I don't need a red light. I don't need a cold plunge. I operated without this shit. If people saw what I did at my mom's house, doing the 4x4x48, doing the thing, all those challenges without none of that shit, they would understand that this is just the season of my life right now. But the foundation I've built 4 years ago of putting in the work and just taking one step at a time, people, if they saw that version of me, they would understand that I'm exactly who I am back then, but now I have some flashier stuff now.
Yeah. Dude, I find it a distraction, right? I love cities. With my business, if I lived in Austin, Denver, Miami, New York, LA, like my business would grow exponentially faster. That's
100%.
100%. From a little more of like a spiritual place, like the same reason I don't buy clothes, is like I really view it as like a distraction that I cannot. I don't know if I can't eliminate. I don't want to spend the cognitive bandwidth on eliminating. Same reason, don't run with the watch, don't run with the phone. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Another thing we talked about on our run today. 2 watches. Matt's got 2 watches for me.
Talk to me.
But you know, like sometimes just that stuff distracts you because it requires maintenance. It requires management. You get drawn to it and you start to think like, how can I live without my red light? How is it even possible to recover without an ice plunge in your backyard? And 1 gram of protein, grass-fed whey protein per body weight, right? You know, you can't even recover without that. But you know, I'm just it's something going back to kind of where I started. This was like external validation. Was I struggle with that a lot, and I realized at a young age, like I really didn't need anything, but I started doing things because it was like normal. It's normal to have a nice apartment, right? Bro, I'll live in my car. Like I will live in the Jeep.
I know you would.
Hey,
Jeep Cherokee.
Jeep Grand Cherokee, shout out.
Yo, the Jeep Grand Cherokee, side note, tangent, is one of the most durable and versatile vehicles I've ever been in. And we were in a freaking blizzard in Tahoe, and I lie to you not, this Grand Cherokee was making nice ass Beamers and Mercedes look like shit. Having a Beamer, Mercedes, a German car in a fucking blizzard means nothing. I was like, damn, I was like, Sean, Emma, this was in 08. This car's 08, right?
11.
I'm like, dog, this car's 12 years old and it's more durable than all of these other fancier cars. I'm like, respect, Jeep. It didn't even have a rear view backup camera. I was like, fuck. Shout out to Jeep.
Bro,
fuck.
Real shout out to Jeep. When you fold the back seats down, they're carpet on the back to sleep in. But if you ever slept in a car a lot, you know the end of like the back seat and the trunk, there's like an inch gap. They know these motherfuckers are sleeping in there like me. There's a flap, so there's no gap, dude. I could sleep in the back of that thing beautifully. Dude, let's just take a complete tangent and talk about how we started the year with some adversity.
I love it.
I scooped Matt on December 31st from the Reno airport. And we're like, we got this sick trip planned. We're living on the resort, and we're about to teach Matt how to ski.
Never skied before.
Matt's got all his new gear. He's hype, right?
Looking fresh.
We see a snowstorm's coming in, and we start to like ascend up like the backside of Tahoe to drop in on the Nevada side. The roads closed. Like it was dumping. They got 5.5 feet that day. And Matt goes, I didn't know that like too much snow was going to be a problem skiing.
Seriously.
So we have to drive like 50 minutes back to Carson City. We get like the one hotel, and the second we get in, the electricity goes out. No, Emma plugged in her shit.
Emma was freaking blow drying her hair, and all the lights Go off.
I was like, was that me? Dude. And then we find out it's the whole county's out of power. There's one spot with a generator. We got like shitty burgers or whatever.
Yeah,
this is December 31st. The bowl game was on.
Yes. The college bowl game.
Dude, we go back to the crib. It's like 10 o'clock on
But time out. But hold on really quick. We were at this bar and we saw these two guys that were Georgia Bulldog fans and they were drinking crazy. And they were like, yo, where are you guys staying at? We're getting hammered tonight. Come join us for a drink. And we're like, nah, we're good. We went back to the hotel and keep going.
Yeah.
That's a key part of the story.
We're like, we got skiing tomorrow.
Yes.
That is a key part of the story. We go back to the crib.
No power still.
No power. There's nothing, dude. You can't even charge your phone. Just go to bed. We go to bed. I hear like, and Emma's like elbowing me and goes, Sean, do you hear that? I'm like,
it's like this.
Yeah. I'm like, Emma, blah blah blah. Like I'm too fucking tired. I just drove in a blizzard for 8 hours. I'm going to bed. I'm like laying there and she goes, no, someone's like trying to get in. Yeah, and dude, it was like they were hitting on.
Someone's banging. We were on the first floor. Someone's banging our window.
Hold up, this window's a foot from Matt's head, and he's kicked. He's kicked. Like at this point, we're loud. Like, and me and Emma are like, what's going on? Matt's just kicked. Like, and dude. I'm like, Matt, get up. Someone's trying to get in the fucking window. Dude, someone had their iPhone. Because I saw the light on it and was smashing the window trying to get us in the crib. Matt's like, whoa, we call 911, like whatever.
And Sean goes, you picked the wrong fucking room.
Oh my God.
Emma's on the phone with 911 saying, oh my God, someone's fucking trying to get into our hotel. Someone's trying to go to the hotel. And you hear the operator saying, the dispatcher saying, ma'am, what address? Where are you? X, Y, and Z. And eventually this kid ends up going to the next door. And we just hear this screech.
Dude, Emma's like, he got it. Dude, I'm dying. At this point, I'm just like, all right.
We pack all of our shit.
We pack we're like, everyone has one backpack. Take your laptop, your wallet, your keys in a bag. And like,
Sean's like, we're going to sprint to the car and we'll figure it out from there.
Get the fuck out of here.
Long story short,
this motherfucker was drunk.
It was the same
bulldog
dude at the freaking bar who was hammered that got locked out of his room, and the cop was like, "Guys, we apologize. It's just a drunk kid." And the next morning, Emma ends up asking the front desk at the hotel, and they said, and she asked him like, "Was it a younger white male?" And she said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And then we realized that it was just this drunk kid who had walked back from that bar because they lifted there, but then there was no way to get back because the roads were fucked.
The roads were fucked.
He fucking walked back from that bar to the fucking hotel, and he must have just forgotten where his room is or didn't have the key.
And decided to smash on our fucking window.
But then fast forward into Tahoe.
Yeah. Fast forward into Tahoe. So we try to go up that same road again because it said it was cleared. Dude, it was snowing. Crazy. We can't go up that way. We go to that like casino thing for breakfast because we needed some food. Then we're like, yo, we're going to come in from the complete other side. Meanwhile, Jason has been stuck for 20 hours in his car.
Talk about perspective. At least we had a hotel. This man, Jason, slept in his car in a fucking blizzard.
And goes, I have no food but tailwind.
Jason is a fucking savage.
He's like, tailwind, the only thing you need. We finally get
into
in.
Tahoe. Yep.
Yeah, get into Tahoe. Dude, we get in, we go straight to the resort. We rent Matt a helmet and skis. We go to the resort. We have like an hour to fucking ski. You couldn't even ski, whatever. That was a whole thing.
We get sushi. So we finish there. We ski for like 60 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
We get sushi.
We're like, we need good sushi. Bro, we're
the sushi fucked my stomach up.
I know.
It was not good sushi.
It's because it's all you can eat. It's never that good. But we needed it. I
agree.
So we sit down. We get this sushi that we went to last time we lived there with Jason. Shout out Chicken Boy. And we're sit down and I missed a call from him. And then he called Emma. And Emma goes, what are you doing? And we're about to move into an Airbnb for 30 days just to ski all January. And he goes, I'm doing a little house project. On the Airbnb? The fuck are you talking about, Jason? Dude, it was 5.5 feet of snow and we had to shovel 200 feet to get into our spot. And I'm like, dude, come down, load up on some sushi and get your team and we're gonna come up. Dude, once we got in the house, we
went to work.
Yeah.
Talk about resilience. Like most people that have an Airbnb, like most people that rent this Airbnb, if they're not physically active, the amount of effort to shovel the snow out of this driveway, and the Airbnb was sick. It was a great house, amazing house. But the amount of snow that had accumulated, it would actually require hours of work for most families. A machine. And we just started going ham. Dude, four of us going to fucking, that was the third workout of the day. We were going in on the snow.
Dude, it was like fight or flight, dude. Like I just like was seeing red at this point. I'm like, we're banging this shit out, dude. And
if you guys listen to this pod long enough to this point, understand what we just explained was 24 hours of time. We now see the Airbnb that we're about to stay at, and the next challenge is to physically move this snow out of the way. What's the other option? Sleep in the car in the middle of a blizzard? No, like you grab the shovel and you start going to work. And this is all about, to Sean's point, the whole point of the pod and the happiness discipline or building, callousing yourself physically. We had calloused ourselves so much in other challenges that this seemed like nothing. 100 miles, it was fun because as a team we tackled it in little portions and we ended up opening the door. And the moment that door opened, it was like this sigh of relief of like, oh fuck, we got it, like let's go.
And we realized the front door was to a bedroom. Hey, hold up, we didn't even talk about that. We had to put chains on the car, dude.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, me and Matt are out there in like hoodies. It's coming down, dude. That was crazy. Started the year with resiliency.
A lot of resilience.
That's a great way to start the year.
It is. It truly is. And I think for most people, like, you know, that's where you truly battle test yourself, right? Yeah, and I think it's moments in like that, like one, you want to be around like-minded and open-minded people, because if you're around a pessimist in that moment, it's so easy to look at, oh my God, guys, we have to put the fucking snow tires on. Oh my God, we got stuck here. Oh my God, someone tried to break into our thing. Like all of us, like we got dealt a shitty hand. But we said, fuck it, and let's make the most of it.
Bro, you know what you did in the whip? You remember? You were sitting in the back seat right behind me, and I just kept hearing, like, clip, clip, clip. I'm like, what are you doing? You said, I'm reviewing my last year. And I was like, for what? For a video? You're like, yeah, for a video, but just to review it. I heard, like, clips of you and me running and fucking, I don't know, like, different states, like, different things you did, and you were just like, damn, last year was a good year, bro. And, like, sometimes, maybe, like, you just, like, we had that. The downtime was handed to us. There was like nothing to do. Use it.
100%.
Use it, man. Yeah, man.
I love that, man. It was a really fun trip, and I think in those moments, like, it shows you what it means to be like calloused, honestly. And it's not just a physical thing. It's a mentality. It's how you see the world when you have nothing, when you're getting dealt a shitty hand. And it's awesome to be surrounded around other people that are able to respond in a positive way, because it's so easy to look at all the fucking bad things that happen in that 24 hours and be like, let's just go back home. This trip's gonna suck. Or, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to us. And as soon as we got into the house, we knew that it was gonna be a smooth sail, at least better experiences from that moment.
From that moment was when the Jeep Grand Cherokee really went ham. We saw people sliding.
Can we add last thing we say about the Jeep Grand Cherokee, about when the fucking truck was dented into the Jeep?
Dude.
Last story, please tell.
Yeah. So like this snowstorm didn't stop. We got 15 feet in the first 10 days we were in Tahoe. But this is literally the next day. The whole, like, again, resiliency. We wake up. We live on the mountain, the Nevada side, walking. Nevada side's closed. Power outage. That same fucking power outage from Emma,
your goddamn blow dryer.
And so we're like, oh, we'll drive to the Cali side. It's 6 miles. 90-minute drive because these fucks didn't have a Jeep Grand Cherokee and everyone slid out everywhere. Finally, it was like so long. I was like, look, I'm going to drop you guys off. You guys start skiing. I'm literally just going to drive somewhere so far away, park, and I'm going to just walk. Like, you know, I'll meet you guys up. Park, boom. We have a good day skiing. Matt learns how to fall very well. And got
very much.
I come back to the car. The whip's parked right here on an angle. There's an 18-wheeler smashed into my car and sitting there, and Buddy driving goes, is this your Jeep Grand Cherokee? I said yes. He goes, thank God, I've been waiting for you. I was like, is this your fucking truck? He's like, yeah. I was like, what the fuck, man? Dude, he slid on the ice and my Jeep caught it. My Jeep caught this thing. And then when they tried to like drive forward, like put in park, anything, like without him having his foot on the brake, it was going to like slide more and like destroy my car. He was there for 3.5 hours
waiting for us.
And like right when I came, he goes, we've been thinking about the plan. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm going to call your cell phone. So I got his number and he goes, I need you to put this thing in reverse and back out as fast as you can. Because, dude, the second I started backing out, it was sliding at me. Dude, that was scary. On ice, I backed this thing out like fast. I got people like making sure no other car was coming, dude. I was like, back this shit out. Oh, man, dude.
Barely a dent in the Jeep.
Barely a dent. The Jeep just fucking flexed.
It's amazing.
Oh, man. But that really was a good time, and I think you tied it in well to like, you know, that's something that's like, you know, one of my mentors actually who lives here in Austin talked to me about REM, relationships. I forget what E stands for in memories. Great, I'm a great student, and like memories, man, is really what it's all about. And like that was a good memory.
100%.
That was a memory of like us like really getting to just like chill. Like, you know, just like fight through it together. The vibes were always high. Like it was like a joke. Like, dude, we are jamming to music. We listen to 6 Mac Miller albums.
Yep.
And you know, just taking what's dealt to you. You know, like Mo Gaudat, he wrote a book called The Happiness Equation, and he talks about that like life, like your happiness is equivalent to what happens minus your expectations, reality minus your expectations. So if you have high expectations, and I'm not saying don't dream, but if you have high expectations, you can only be neutral, right? They get hit. Okay, that's what I expected, right? Versus like, you know, if you just don't have expectations or manage them, then it's like, you know, the vibes are high.
You take the punches as they come.
Take the punches as they come, man.
We took a lot of punches that trip. I love it.
Hell yeah. Dude, I think that's a good way to wrap this thing up.
I think so too.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on and, you know, everything, yo. And shout out to Jake and Ryan at Pouch 6 Studios. I mean,
big shout out. This is 6 Studio, man. What you guys got going on, it's unbelievable to see it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what other people are able to do with this kind of setup, and super dope setup, bro.
Hell yeah. And again, for those that stuck around this whole time, I think the main thing is don't be scared to live in dirt and really put in that work of gratitude, you know, formalizing a reflection process, and just, you know, keep on beating the drum, man.
Self-love, baby.
Self-love.
Go love yourself. Let's go. Boom.
Boom. Hey, thank you for watching today's episode. If you got something out of this, it would mean so much if you could just take a second and give us a rating on whatever platform you're watching it on. And it would mean so much to the world if you could just find one person that you think this message resonates with, and you can share that with them. Thank you so much for your support. Looking forward to share the next episode with you.